Welcome back to Part 2 of Vocabulary Development. We have seen from the previous PowerPoint that promoting vocabulary development at the rate that it should occur is a challenging task. The focus of this part is how do we, as teachers, address vocabulary development as efficiently as possible. Remember we said earlier that teachers need to be highly selective in the words that they are incorporating into vocabulary instruction. In order to do this, we want to be sure to teach Tier 2 type of words. Actually, selecting the words that you would devote time and effort to involves a number of factors. For example, what is the purpose for reading? Is it in preparation for a discussion, or to grasp the steps in a procedure, or to acquire new information within a subject area, or is the reading purpose just to enjoy a selection? Next, the teacher needs to determine how essential the vocabulary words are to developing a concept or a thorough understanding of a topic that is being presented. The text itself needs to be analyzed in terms of how dense are the propositions of ideas in the text, how sophisticated is the vocabulary, how well written is the text in terms of explaining challenging vocabulary through context clues, text features, footnotes, and/or a glossary. And finally, how adept are the students in various word strategies and word knowledge at being able to decipher new words and their meanings? How much and what kind of background knowledge are they bringing to the text that will help them with challenging vocabulary? Here is one set of guidelines to walk you through selecting vocabulary for instruction. I have found that many times I have more than 2 or 3 words that need direct instruction, but I try to allow for this in my pre-reading activity. Now, you have hopefully streamlined the number of words that you need to directly teach to a set of words that fit the criteria on this slide. Taking all of the above into account, the purpose, the text, the concepts, and the students, you are basically determining your selection on whether the students can, or probably can, decipher the target words and their meanings. But in addition to those lessons, when you introduce specific challenging words that you've determined the children cannot get on their own, there must also be an ongoing vocabulary program to show how to use context clues, morphemic, phonic, and structural analysis skills, and resources such as dictionaries and glossaries to figure out unfamiliar words. Students need to know that context clues can be directly in the text, such as those explained by Gunning. But they also need to know that illustrations or text features can help to clarify a new word's meaning. We have touched on phonic and structural analysis as a way to break words into smaller units or syllables so that they can be decoded. Related to this is the use of morphology. We alluded to this before when we mentioned that students can gain a sense of meaning of a word by isolating the base or root word and then adding affixes back onto that word. If they know the meaning of that base or root word and the affixes, then they have a good chance of determining the meaning of the entire word. This is also where knowledge of Latin and Greek roots can be very powerful. As much as possible, we need to help children make associations between words and to see the relationship that exists between words, be it a common base or root word, or that a set of synonyms for each other, or variations or gradations on a concept or continuum of words. This list of the most common prefixes and suffixes may be helpful in determining which affixes to focus on first. Again, encouraging students to look for the connection between words can be a key in promoting vocabulary development. For example, look at all the words connected to the Latin root port, meaning to carry. Once you have decided on the words that you know students will not be able to decipher, there may be others on the fringes that you just aren't sure if they might also be problematic. Think about these guidelines, and then choose a pre-reading activity that should be a means to learn about and build background knowledge for the selection and for the challenging vocabulary. Gunning discusses several activities. There are other activities as well, addressed through the assignments in this module, that should help to expand your bag of tricks for introducing vocabulary for selection in a thoughtful and engaging manner. You may want to keep this advice from researchers in mind as you approach vocabulary instruction. As we work with words and their meanings, we often ask students to define a word, but many times they stumble trying to do this. Here's a simple definition, format, or frame that they can use to help them define a given word. Here's an example of it in use. The bottom line is this. Considering the large number of words that students encounter and the need to learn them, it is obvious that all of these words cannot be taught. Therefore, we must make students aware of learning words and create an intrinsic motivation and interest so that they will learn words independently. There are many ways to do this. One is through teacher talk, or by the all-important read-alouds and discussions. And of course, reading widely is a powerful way to expand one's vocabulary. Consider the implications of the math behind independent reading. Another way to promote vocabulary development is by encouraging students to become word collectors. Word wizards involve students donating challenging words that they have discovered in their reading. The word must have supporting context clues in an excerpt taken from the text. This is written on a sentence strip or chart and displayed. Fellow students are encouraged to pronounce and define the target word. Students try to stump their classmates. Opportunities to play with words, such as through these vehicles, is an excellent way of cultivating a word-rich environment. Last but not least, let technology work for you and your students.